Hey, digital duelists. Many Digimon trading card game players have asked the question, which card is better, DeathXmon or Shine Greymon Ruin Mode? You know, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've seen people just say, oh, if you don't have Ruin Mode, swap a DeathX, no problem. Or, anything like that. Oh, DeathXmon this, oh, Ruin Mode that. I've seen it ever since Ruin Mode's come out because DeathXmon was out first, and it's always been a very interesting conversation to watch. This video idea is triggered based on that, and I saw a YouTube comment in one of my videos, I think the Demon Lord video, that said, oh, if you don't have Ruin Mode, just play DeathX, it'll be fine. Will it be fine, is the question. So today, we're going to do a very deep dive into which card is better, Ruin Mode or DeathXmon. And then we'll tailor it specifically to this meta and what would need to happen for maybe the roles to reverse if one card is just simply better than the other. But I'm not going to give you the spoilers. You have to watch the video, and I will give you the answer. Don't worry, I did the hard work for you. This video is all about the proof. I'm going to prove to you objectively that one of these cards is just simply better than the other. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments your thoughts and opinions. And if you like this kind of discussion video, comment and let me know. And of course, like and subscribe. That would be pretty cool too. And don't forget to smash that notification bell into the potatoes. That way you know when these Digimon videos go live. Cool? Alright. So what do these cards do? DeathXmon's a level 7 purple-black Digimon. You can play it or you can evolve for 6 on a level 6. That's purple or black. Now, its play cost is 20, but when you would play this card, reduce the memory cost by 3 for each Digimon and Tamer your opponent has in play. So, if your opponent has 2 Digimon and a Tamer on board, it costs 11 to play. If they have 5 Digimon on board, it costs 5 to play. So, you can see that it gets better with your opponent having more stuff on the board. Has on player when Digivolving, de-Digivolve 1 all your opponent's Digimon, then delete all of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So, cleans up a little bit, eh? You digivolve some stuff, blow up some stuff. Pretty cool. Then you have an end of opponent's turn once per turn. Delete all your opponent's Digimon, the lowest play cost. So yeah, if you have 2 rookies on the board at the end of your turn, at the end of the opponent's turn, they will blow up. Both of them will. So, pretty cool. Card was used a lot back in the day when it came out, because there were a bunch of decks at that moment in time that were kind of going wide, right? And we were kind of exiting a hybrid meta. Hybrid meta is really interesting because if you have a level 4 hybrid on a Tamer, DeathXmon de-Digivolves the hybrid, you get the Tamer back. Kind of weird interaction, but that is a thing. But yeah, people could go wide, and DeathXmon punished the people that went wide. And that was something everyone had to play around once BT9 came out. Because if you were playing wide, you expect to get punished by DeathX, because everyone had DeathX. I actually remember back in the day, deck profiles for like various decks that any content creator would make. It'd be like, oh, here's this BT9 deck. Just splash in 1, 2, 3, or 4 DeathXmons, because why not? It's a staple. Go nuts. That was literally a thing that happened back in the day. So, yeah, DeathXmon, good card. Next is the other point of today's video, Ruin Mode. Shine Greymon Ruin Mode. Just in the name itself, it's a Greymon, it's a Shine Greymon. Greymon lovers can rejoice. Okay. Moving right along, though. It's a level 7 that evolves on a purple or a yellow level 6 for 5 instead of 6. Play cost is 14, but you ain't never playing this card, I'll tell you. Or you can evolve it on a Shine Greymon for 4. Cool stuff. When Digivolving on deletion, until the end of your opponent's next turn, all of your opponent's Digimon get minus 5,000 DP. This here is a global effect. It's a global effect. So, if you go and you evolve your Ruin Mode on your turn and you pass over a turn, that minus 5k spread impacts your whole opponent's board and whatever they play after it. So if they were to play a Vmon, it would die instantly, right? Until the end of your opponent's turn. And then next turn, if you trigger the deletion somehow, you get to do it again. Pretty decent. And yes, if you do both the Wind Digivolving and on deletion on the same turn, it's a minus 10 spread across your opponent's board and everything they would play otherwise, which can be pretty sick nasty depending on what deck you're doing. It's interesting. End of attack. Delete this Digimon. Hey, that's how you trigger on deletion. And one of your opponent's Digimon. So it blows itself up to blow up another Digimon. and recover +1. Then if you have a tamer in play, hatch 1 Digi-Egg to an empty space in your breeding area. So, like, when you swing with it, assuming it survives the battle, it will blow itself up on end of attack, which means you get all those end of attack effects plus the on deletion. If it were to like die to security or something, you would only get the on deletion. You would not get all the end of attack bonuses. So that's how Shine Greymon Ruin Mode works. There are some really cool plays you can do with this because it's a Shine Greymon, it's a Greymon. For example, when I topped one of this year's regionals with Marcus Vaccine Yellow Hybrid, you could have a level 6 on board like Venusmon, turn your Marcus sideways, BT12, that Marcus can evolve your Venusmon into a Ruin Mode for free. Then you trigger the Windage Evolving effect to -5 spread everything. Then if it's still your turn, which it probably was, if you needed to, you could swing with the Ruin Mode. Assuming it survives, it will end of attack blow itself up, and then you get all the goodies, but you also get the -10 spread. You get a -10 spread off, it's over. It's over probably for your opponent. But it's very powerful. And that's just a combo you can do, again, because it's a Shine Greymon. DeathXmon does have the DeathX stuff, right? It does kind of fit in your deck's Doragormon shenanigans. You know, there are cards that just play out DeathXmon for free because it's DeathXmon. I would say in this exact moment in time, they're about just as common as a Marcus on a Ruin Mode type of thing, or something like that. So, yeah, they're very niche interactions because they're named the way they are. They can come up, you know, 1 out of every few hundred times, probably. I think that's a reasonable assessment. But if you guys exist in a world where that's a lot more common on either end, do let me know. But now, let's take all that out. Let's just consider the fact, let's assume they're nameless. And you just have their Windage Evolving, on deletion, end of attack effect, and you have your on-play Windage Evolving and end of opponent's turn effect. Alright, how does this impact the meta? Well, let's just take each meta deck down one by one. You have Davis on board. Let's say your opponent is playing Davis. Is playing Imperial, right? Well, if you do a Ruin Mode, and you Windage Evolve in the Ruin Mode, whatever they play Davis and Ken, it does not survive, which means it also doesn't get the on-play effect. If they have a rookie in the back, if they promote it, it dies. So against Imperial, if you have Ruin Mode, you do the Windage Evolving, and then next turn you do the attack with that end of attack, blow itself up, whatever, and then you get that -5 spread over the course of 2 turns. So Imperial can't really play over 2 turns. What they'd have to do is that they'd have to evolve their 5 in the back, or that the hard play one of their Imperialdramons, or one of the level 5s, right? And that could be interesting, again, because they do play Fighter Mode Ace. And I guess some people play Dragon Mode Ace, whatever. But Fire Mode Ace is common. Maybe Paladin Mode Ace could happen too, you know, whatever. But it creates a very awkward situation, because the way the Imperial deck beats you is they have a rookie in their back, they have the Tamer, they promote the rookie, they use Davis Ken to play the other rookie, then you have 2 Digimon, assuming you have everything in hand, you win the game because you'll take out your opponent, like turn 2, turn 3. It's pretty crazy. But Ruin Mode actually stops that, which is huge. What does DeathXmon do? Well, DeathXmon, if they're already an established board, you play DeathXmon and maybe you blow up a couple bodies. I'd say on average you're playing DeathXmon against Imperial for maybe 11. What's interesting is that maybe they have an ace on board or something, like a Fighter Mode Ace. Well, DeathXmon will de-digivolve it for you. You'll gain that memory back, which is pretty cool because of the overflow. And then maybe they have Imperialdramon on board. Well, DeathX will de-digivolve Imperialdramon for you. So all that partition nonsense is gone. Then you can just find a way to kill it. You just rid yourself of that completely. But that's a lot more of a surmountable task than just Ruin Mode Evolution pass. And then Ruin Mode attack next turn. I would say against Imperial, Ruin Mode is the better card. And Ruin Mode, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've locked people out of playing Imperial Ruin Mode. In testing, Ruin Mode is just an obnoxious card against Imperial. Like, it really does just win the game if you can get it. Because they can't play for two turns. And you're doing other stuff in those 2 turns as well. And God forbid you're crazy like me and you play multiple Ruin Modes in your deck, and then you just do it again on another turn. Then they're just dead. You know, like, it's crazy. So I would say against Imperial, Ruin Mode is the better card against this deck. So if you're an Imperial hater, maybe you want to start playing some Ruin Modes. Blue Hybrid. All right. we kind of mentioned this hybrid interaction before, but if you're level 4 hybrid with a tamer underneath it or whatever, you play DeathXmon, they get their tamer back. It's not the super greatest value in the world or whatever. But, you know, against the blue hybrid deck, and I'll throw red hybrid in this for too as well, you know, they have a few tamers on board, right? Maybe a body. You know, you can play DeathXmon for 8, even 5, and get some value out of it, which is pretty cool. The problem is that DeathXmon's end of opponent's turn, does get outpaced, I believe, by the Ancient Garurumon here. If you read Ancient Garurumon very specifically here, it'll actually tell you, on play when Digivolving, return one opponent's Digimon to the lowest level of the hand. So if you were to only have DeathX on board, Ancient Garurumon will bounce the DeathX. They'll never get a chance to do their end of opponent's turn effect because it'll be back in their hand. Now, to be fair, you can play it again. That's fine. But, or maybe you'll be smart and you'll actually like play a rookie or something and then play DeathX. So there's ways to go around it for sure. But then there's also the on-deletion effect, right? You may return a Tamer hybrid hybrid trait from trash to hand, then play a Tamer card from your hand. So, right, if they're doing the combo, right? If they're doing the Kendo Lobo Garuru combo, there's not going to be a body on board for DeathX to blow up, right? Even if, you know, it stays because you don't do the combo with it, on deletion you get the value from it, right? So DeathXmon, in my opinion, isn't putting up a whole lot of work against blue hybrid or red hybrid shenanigans. What about Ruin Mode? Well, Ruin Mode again has that win to drawing minus 5k. Now, Kendo Garurumon, Beowulf, and Ancient Garurumon will exist. They will be alive with 1000 DP. However, what's interesting is that you cannot do the Kendo into Lobo into Ancient Garurumon combo under Ruin Mode because Lobomon only has 5k DP. And that also works for the Burning Gray into Aguni into Ancient Gray stuff. You can't do that because Lobomon will just fucking die. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to be real. That's not an interaction that's happened to me yet. I haven't done that in testing. It hasn't really happened. But it is a thing that happens. It will die. If you have a Lobomon on board, the global check of Ruin Mode will just kill Lobo. You're done. That's it. Before the Wind Digivolving occurs. Because it's global check. It's the same thing as when you play a Digimon on the Ruin Mode, right? If it dies, you don't get the on play because it checks it right away. So you can't do that combo. However, as I mentioned, you can work around it with Kendo plus Beowulf into Ancient Garurumon that way. And then maybe you even bounce the Ruin Mode back to hand. You know, assuming it's the only Digimon on board. If they have a smaller Digimon on board, they bounce that instead. But yeah, I would argue that neither is super fantastic against that deck, but I would give the credit to Ruin Mode because Ruin Mode would prevent them from pulling up in their breeding area, right? They might be playing aggro red base, swing red rookies, draw a bunch of cards. Ruin Mode stops that because they can't promote. DeathX does not stop that. That's just how that goes. And then other rookies as well, Ukumons and stuff, Bokomons, they just die with Ruin Mode on board, assuming that you're doing the Wind Digivolving. It's just a down for 2 turns. So I do believe Ruin Mode against blue and red hybrid is just better by a mile. Again, you're not going to blow them out with Ruin Mode, probably, but it's going to help you a little bit. I have Galgamon up because this is going to bring up 2 decks. One is Mirage, one is Galaxy, you know. Galaxy. So, all of the Galaxy champions and rookies have less than 5k DP. So, Ruin Mode, you know, kind of just says no. Like, one of the whole combo with the Galaxy deck, right, is you have your rookie, you have your Lunamon or your Coronamon here. And then you want to promote your rookie because the rookies have really cool starter main phase effects. And then you want the inheritable effect to go off after you evolve on top of it so that you can continue building up. Well, all that shit doesn't happen under Ruin Mode. It just does not happen. It doesn't happen. What about DeathX? Well, DeathX can punish a established board. But at most, Galaxy really, by turn 2, turn 3, only have 3 cards on board. Like, maybe a Digimon stack or 2, and a Tamer or 2. And while you get the D-Digivolve, at that point in time, it's probably not that much value. Because it isn't. Because you're going to Digivolve to a 5, and they're just going to do another level 6 next turn, or something like that. Ruin Mode, similarly, right? if you're going against Galaxy and like you lose a die roll or whatever, and they turn to Mirage or Hexablow or something, Ruin Mode is not going to help you in that moment in time either, because they already have their stuff. But if you can Ruin Mode them before they combo off, it's a lot more powerful than DeathX, because DeathX won't do anything. Or end of opponent's turn, pop the lowest play cost. Yeah, that's no problem. Let me Huakanmon your rookie out and evolve this into the 6, so the rookie just dies under DeathX. There's ways to play around it. You can also just freaking kill the DeathX with something like Apollomon, for instance. Apollomon here could be 16k if its stack is big enough. Swing, pop DeathX when it checks the security, and that's it. You know what I mean? Or there are some crazy players that are playing Paladin Mode Ace, which doesn't do anything against DeathXmon, but maybe Crimson Mode Ace or something. That would kill DeathXmon on player when evolving. Same with Ruin Mode, of course. Ruin Mode's on immune to that. But yeah, Ruin Mode is only good in the sense that if you can catch them before they play the game, they're not playing the game for 2 more turns. DeathXmon, they can still play the game. So again, credit due where credit is due. One final thing to keep in mind is that this deck does play level 7 aces, like Imperial Paladin Mode or whatever. DeathXmon can clean that up, maybe gain some memory, keep turn or something, or choke them. Maybe that's helpful to you. I do give the more, effective play, though, to Ruin Mode, because Ruin Mode will actually just say, yeah, no. Assuming not playing the game. If Galaxy is playing the game, I don't think either of these cards will help you. But at least Ruin Mode will stop them from playing the game, where DeathXmon will not. Demon Lords. I'm going to be real. Ruin Mode and DeathX do nothing to Demon Lords. They do not. Very little. Very little. Ruin Mode, DeathXmon, they barely have a board. They might have a Digimon or 2. That's it. Ruin Mode, they have only big bodies. Yeah, you might clean up a frickin' Sister Mont Blanc or something, but that's it. I would say both are pretty bad against Demon Lords, so no card wins against Demon Lords. Loogamon. Loogamon is a very interesting deck, because it's one of those, let me build in the back. But they don't even build in the back, because they just put Loogamon, start a main phase, put the EG, gain a memory, and then they go level 4, level 5, level 6, then they bring back Kazuchimon, then they Zacian you, and they do that all from the rookie spot, right? So if you have Ruin Mode, they can't promote, they can't play the game. How Loogamon also can't pop Ruin Mode because it's level 7. So that's pretty cool too. Now, you can do kind of interesting things if they give you enough memory, right? Because you do have all the Fenrir Loogamon stuff. The Fenrir Loogamon here. If it'll bring up the right one. This one, right? It costs 11 to play. It's 11,000 DP. Unfortunately, the effect is when Digivolving, but you can play a big body. Like, you're not going to do that, but like you could do that. It's pretty crazy. Anyway. Yeah, no, it's clearly not the way, and you can see that. What about DeathX? Well, DeathX, you might be dead by the time they DeathX you. To be real. Before you can DeathX, they might kill you with Zacian. They might do that. If they don't, you're Digivolving to level 7, they keep a 6. With the big stack. I don't think that's a win. I don't think that's a win at all. And the deck barely keeps cards on board. Again, it's not like the old Fenrir Loogamon deck. Like, you have BT14 Fenrir Loogamon, you play 3 bodies. If they don't OTK you, you can play DeathX for pretty cheap and, like, mess them up. But that's not where we live anymore. We live in a world where you're going to Zacian your opponent, and that's going to be the end of the game. So I got to give the points to Ruin Mode. Ruin Mode will prevent them from playing the game. Now, they might be smart, and they might take the turn off, and they just say, you know what? A Loogamon in the back row, please, with 6k DP. But they have to have that. Or they have to evolve level 4 and then level 5 in the back, which just puts them in a weird spot, right? And then the global -5 maybe means they can't explode as much. Maybe. So yeah, all points on this one go to Shaggy on Ruin Mode over DeathX. The SOC deck plays kind of similarly. You do want to resolve your Doramon, start a main phase. You really do. So if they keep it in the back and don't do anything with it, Ruin Mode will prevent it from coming up. What's interesting is that the whole strat behind the deck is to do the trash all turns effects of your dexes in the graveyard. Ruin Mode, DeathX, it doesn't matter. You're still going to do your thing either way. All these cards are out of the Ruin Mode threshold unless you do the -10 spread. You do the -10 spread, this deck is not playing the game. It really isn't. And if they are playing the game, they're doing it very awkwardly. They gotta take a turn off, which could be enough for you to win the game. That's how fast Digimon is now, by the way. So, that's a thing, right? What does DeathXmon do? Well, maybe DeathXmon actually hurts you to play it. Because maybe they have a 5 or something, right? They de-Digivolve it, you have a 4, and then when one of your Doruga, if it's a Dorugamon, you know, you do the Dex Dorugamon. It doesn't get deleted. Like, it's crazy. I would say that DeathXmon is not good against this deck, which is funny, because this deck can just bring out DeathXmon for you for playing certain cards, which is funny. So I would say, you know, no deck really gets a win, but at least Ruin Mode can prevent the rookie from doing things. Sure. I guess that's better than nothing, so if anything, the point goes to Ruin Mode. If I'm missing something that DeathX can do really well against this deck, let me know. But, like, again, it's not a deck that plays a lot of Digimon out. It's a stack deck. So, there is that. Alright, Yellow Vaccine variants. You obviously can't do Patamon starter main phase under Ruin Mode. You can do it under DeathX, and by the time you do it, by the time you finish climbing your stack, this DeathXmon might actually be dead. It is a virus, which loses to BT14 Andromon, which people still play, by the way. Do not sleep on that card. Or if you're playing the Rapid Engine, they might suspend your DeathX, you might attack over it, and then it doesn't do anything for you. So DeathX not doing too much against that. But it does de-Digivolve armors. So like if they have a Rapid X with a Rapidmon underneath it, and a rookie, okay, you'll de-Digivolve the Rapid X, you have Rapidmon, it'll blow stuff up, it'll armor purge, then you'll get the rookie, which is cool. That's actually a really cool play, but as a Yellow Vaccine player, I don't care if the DeathX me. I really don't. And I'm telling you guys this from experience. Out of hundreds of games I've played with this deck, Yellow Vaccine, whenever I get DeathX, it's like, cool. Yeah, whatever. That's honestly how I feel about it. It's pretty fine. But if I see Ruin Mode as a Yellow Vaccine player, I might cry a little bit. Like, I might have tears. Tears in my eyes. So, you know, I do got to give the credit to Ruin Mode. Ruin Mode is really good in the mirror match, and if you can just Ruin Lock them before they Ruin Lock you, you might win the game right away, which is pretty nice. I will talk about Magnamon X, though, because once you have an immune Magna X, it doesn't matter if you have DeathXmon or Ruin Mode. You don't give a fuck. It does not matter. It will be immune to everything anyway. So nothing wins against Magna X in that sense. But the decks that bring out Magna X lose to Ruin Mode in the sense that maybe you can't promote your rookie. But if they're smart and they just evolve into a champion in the back, then promote the champion. Unless you're doing the -10 spread, you're not doing anything to Magna X. So I'm not going to give either one a win because DeathX can de-Digivolve and cause weird armor shenanigans, and Ruin Mode, Magna X can play around both. I'll call it a tie. There is a weird world, depending on the variant of the deck you're playing, that DeathXmon's actually maybe a little bit better. So I'll be very generous, and I'll say give DeathX the plus over that. But that's very generous, and you could definitely argue both ways. And the version of Magna X shenanigans, Yellow Vaccine shenanigans you're doing, whatever. If you're doing Yellow Vaccine, whatever, 3 Angels, Yellow Vaccine, whatever armors. Or if you're playing Magna X, either yellow or blue package, you know, Ruin Mode might do more damage to you depending on what you're playing. Or DeathXmon might. So, DeathXmon against armors is usually pretty good. I will give the point to DeathXmon over Ruin Mode, but I'd say it's pretty close and really could be 50-50 shot depending. Last deck I want to talk about today is something that exists in the meta. It's all this Mother Control Shoto nonsense. The bodies are big enough so that Ruin Mode can't pop them when Digivolving. And if they have level 6 on board, the -10 spread won't do anything. So the point goes to DeathXmon on this one. Because DeathXmon, if they have a board of like, you know, Shoto and 2 level 6 aces that were Digivolved, DeathXmon cleans up nicely, and you still might get your turn. The only downside of that is if you swing, for after that, they might evolve again. But you can't discount the fact that you're cleaning up their aces, which is pretty cool, and it becomes a very nice memory transaction in your favor. So I do actually prefer DeathX over Ruin Mode if you're playing against those kind of control decks. That's all I got for the meta, really. I know there's the odd other deck. There's Loogamon and blah, 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 whatever, you know. But if we go through it deck by deck by deck, you see that Ruin mode does do the most damage currently in this meta. So as of right now, if you need a definitive answer, well, there's a reason why Shine Greymon Ruin Mode lowest art is $20 more than DeathX. It's because Ruin Mode is better. And I'd say it's by a landslide right now. What could change in the future? Well, maybe we enter a deck, a format of decks where, like, you're playing a bunch of bodies out. DeathXmon being free is always really good. If we enter going wide metas again, DeathXmon becomes a whole lot better. And Ruin Mode becomes good too, don't get me wrong, because that -5 spread will clean up some of those bodies too, make some awkward interactions. But depending on what the meta is, maybe DeathXmon just shines above it. That's it. That's it for this analysis video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this kind of video, because I like just talking about this kind of stuff. You know, I spent a lot of time testing Digimon, and me and my testing buddies will just theory craft and say, you know, what's better against the meta. But I'm going to be real with you. If I was going to a regionals and I needed my invite for some reason, I'd be playing Ruin Mode over DeathX. I would not use DeathX. I would not use it. I would not touch the card. I would pretend it doesn't exist. What I've learned about Digimon is that in the world that we're currently living in, the best thing to do in Digimon, if you're playing Digimon, the trading card game, is to prevent your opponent from playing the Digimon trading card game. And Ruin Mode does that in a lot of cases. I mean, it sucks to say that that's the point in the game that we're at. You know, we're in such a fucking insano bananas, non-skill-based OTK, fucking crazy nonsense game that we're in right now. But Ruin Mode, against a lot of that shit, just says, ha! Get owned, sucker. And that's what it does. You could change that text on the card. You could. Like, that's what the card does. Ruin Mode is so good because it prevents you... It can prevent your opponent from playing the game. And if only one person's playing the game, well then, obviously, that person's going to win. You know, every time I resolve Ruin Mode against Imperial before they combo off, I win that game. Whenever it's like a deck like Galaxy or Mirage or any other deck, if they're not playing the game by then, they're not playing the game. Because by the time Ruin Mode's over, they're dead. They're dead. They're done. That's it. So that's my opinion. If you guys take your regionals and whatever seriously, you know, if you want your invite, consider Ruin Mode. If your deck can play it. If your deck can't play it, play DeathX. You know, that's the other thing we didn't really talk about. But some decks just can't play Ruin Mode, right? But almost everything can play DeathX. So, if your deck can play DeathX, sure. But if you have the option to play Ruin Mode or DeathX, play Ruin Mode. And if you want my opinion, if you're not playing a blue deck, you should probably be playing a deck that can play Ruin Mode. Like Demon Lords or something. Hell, Blue Hybrid. My Blue Hybrid deck has Ruin Modes in it. Like, it's crazy. It's... Anyway. That's my honest opinion on these cards. Yes, you know my opinion, and my opinion is based in the sound facts of this format. But if you disagree with me, you better give me an essay-like response, like Mox Moonstone does, explaining to me why I'm wrong. And I will definitely invite it, because, you know, I'm open to learning things too. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!